Hey, 365 Days of Horsemanship. Really proud of myself today. I'm really happy because I have made it up after work for a lovely short chill sessions. Literally 5 minutes with both horses, but just really came up with the mindset of providing for their needs for as much kind of time as I had to give them, which isn't super long. I've been on a long shift today. I'm going on holiday in like 2 days. I've got a long shift tomorrow. I have to pack and I got some personal errands to do before I can go, and so I really don't have much time, but it was really amazing today, especially after having such a lovely session yesterday, to feel that motivation to come and to not feel like it was worthless. And having it organically is like so much better than like forcing myself through it. So that was really nice. I feel light and breezy. And yeah, I had a lovely session, particularly with Mia actually. And I think that reminded me of really the importance and the value of these sessions. With Lawrence, I came over, he wanted some scratches. It was a bit too much scratches. We found a place to settle together and I left. With Mia, she was immediately happy for my presence with her grazing, and that's such a blessing when I consider where we were when I started this relationship, and actually the disconnect between us was the catalyst for me to start this project, which I think has evolved so much over time. And I'm really, I think, proud in a sense of where I am now and what it's taught me. And so now to be able to say like, oh, I turned up, I did 5 minutes, I felt really connected to her, and I felt like we were really just on a vibe together, just chilling and in flow. And I think those sessions are so important for her, because I think like it really just gives the balance where like when I ask for a bit more, like I don't think that horses have the same concept of time as we do, because the payoff that I get for these small sessions where it's all about her is really huge when I have the longer sessions where it's a little bit more about me and there's some more dominant training going on. You know, I'm riding, I'm being insistent, and yeah, it really feels to me like the fact that I showed up for her today, like that in and of itself is the really important piece, and then the time spent feels like the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. So that's really cool. And yeah, I just feel basically really happy that I made it, and really happy that I feel so good about making it. Yeah, I feel like this year has really been a lot, like with my nan passing away and taking an extended sabbatical to take care of her, and coming back and like trying to find myself again. And like I learned a lot about myself. I'm still learning a lot about myself. But yeah, I feel like there's like a renewance now of some of the energy that I had before I left in March, you know, and it's July now. So it's definitely taken some time. And yeah, I think that's a really big lesson for me, I think, in trusting as well. You know, when I was younger, there was a long extended period of time of that kind of low mood and low energy. And I think I have this like fear every time that I'm going through a cycle of concern, and concern for me definitely manifests itself, I think, on a chronic level as anxiety, but then when I go through those like acute cycles, that's much more depressive. And it's much more like a deep rest, like no activities, like I need to just like sit and be nothing and do nothing. And I think I have this fear when I get into those cycles that, you know, that's going to be it then forever, because I think when I was younger it felt so permanent, and it was for a long time so permanent. Whereas now I think it's about understanding like the daily cycles, weekly cycles, monthly cycles, and, you know, yearly cycles, and the big cycles of life, and like how an event happens and chronic stress then happens, and there's this like period of like picking up after yourself and coming back around again, back into like a period of growth and excitement, and enjoyment. And so I feel good about that. I feel good about that generally today. Yeah, I think the key for me with this, because apparently this video is like more of like a self-therapy session, so welcome to that, guys. I think the key for that for me in like being able to like recognize those cycles and accept those cycles better is going to be in tackling like the chronic day-to-day anxiety, because I think that's what uses up a lot of my energy, so that when those like acute periods happen, they're like more dramatic, because I'm already exhausted from like being anxious about stuff all day. And I think that I'm really excited, I think, to take these lessons into my time with the horses. I feel like I'm really, like I had a 12-hour shift today, but I feel like I'm really learning how to control my like energy output now, in a much better way. And even though like I feel tired, and I have had a coffee, so, you know, just to put that out there, for full transparency, and I would like to move towards more healthy alternatives for increased energy, because caffeine is like definitely one of those things where it's like delayed. You're borrowing energy from a future time, you'll have to pay it back. But I'm gonna be on a holiday in 2 days, so I'm like, I can pay it back. But I would like a better long-term solution. But yeah, I think that learning how to manage these sorts of things, I think is really going to come through with my horses, because I think craving that like emotional stability and the mindset and the connection and putting myself in the right mental place, I think is really the key that I think I've been missing all along in my kind of like entire journey with horsemanship, really. And so I'm really excited about that, because I feel like I'm like kind of digging into like the depths of it. And I think that's really one of the things for me that I think horses have always given me is kind of a form of therapy. And I think for people, a lot of people, like, you know, as such individuals, it's always different, isn't it? Right? Like, you know, for some people, their therapy is like being on the horse. For some people, their therapy is like going and competing. For some people, the therapy is like, you know, when they're grooming the horse or this, that, whatever. Like for me, I think it's always been the idea of a relationship, but I've often sought out like the bella figura of a relationship, like what it looks like from the outside, and to like, if I just do all the right things and tick all the right boxes, then the magic will happen. And I think now I'm getting to a place where I'm like understanding that working towards goals is great, but it basically puts you always in the past or in the future, because you're always looking back to what you don't have to work out what you want to have, rather than like living in the present more. And I feel like now I'm on this real journey with the horses where it's like, how do I connect in the moment? And I think like I'm thinking to like a Pirelliism actually, which is focus, feel, and timing. And like focus coming first. I don't know if it's like entirely a Pirelliism. I know a lot of these things have like been around and come around and been around and come around, but I learned it from Pirelli. And I think the saying was something like this, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, you start with focus, and focus gives you feel, and focus and feel give you timing, and focus, feel, and timing give you savvy. And I feel like where I'm at right now is really like, I'm working on my feel and timing by practicing techniques and doing tasks and being on patterns and practicing, you know, experimenting with the results of those patterns and adapting and trying again. But I feel like this journey with like the present is much more a journey to do with focus. It's to do with being able to hold my focus and hone my focus onto like a specific time that's happening right now, rather than like trying to do that while also thinking about how this relates to last week and how this relates to next week, and like, am I doing the right thing anyway? Because I kind of feel like maybe I should be doing this thing because I read this thing or I saw that thing or I feel like this about it. And actually, instead of all of those thoughts happening, it's like, how do I focus on what I'm actually feeling right now and be in the moment and be patient enough to actually have the experience before I analyze it, rather than like analyzing every second of my life as I go along. So I feel like bringing that to the horses is going to be really powerful. And I'm really glad that I'm in a place where I'm like feeling these things and getting to this kind of frame of mind. So yeah.